I'm going to show how to get the guitar tone from the Far Beyond Driven album by Pantera. In my opinion, Far Beyond Driven has the heaviest and thickest guitar sound of all Pantera albums. I'm using Bias Amp and Bias FX, which are guitar audio applications created by Positive Grid, and I'm using Reaper as my digital audio workstation. For this tone or any other tone you may want to create, the first step is to find a high-quality uncompressed track that only has guitars and that truly represents the tone you want to achieve. So I went back to my original Far Beyond Driven CD that I bought in 1994 to look for a good guitar segment for my tone. The middle section of Strength Beyond Strength, the opening track, features Dimebag Darrell playing chords with isolated guitars, no bass or drums, and they truly capture his guitar tone on that album. With Reaper, I looped that section a few times because Bias Amp needs at least 20 seconds of a particular guitar track to be able to match the tone. Then I recorded a raw version of the loop with my guitar without adding any effects. Now I'll export the loop as a WAV file, which the file format Bias Amp supports. I'll select the loop in the timeline and save it. I'm just using Reaper's default export settings for the WAV format. So now using my raw track, I'll be adding the Bias Amp 2 VST plugin. Bias Amp 2 comes both as a standalone application and as a VST plugin for digital audio software, which is great. We need to find an amp as a starting point for the guitar tone we want to create. In the metal section, I chose the Mark IIc Plus amp after testing some different amps. Right now, although the amp has a nice overdriven guitar sound, it doesn't sound much like the Far Beyond Driven tone. So let's get to the amp match feature. You click Start Amp Match. Now we'll grab the Strength Beyond Strength loop I saved earlier. The play button is not playing anything because the track needs to be monitored, so let's do that. It takes a few seconds to capture the file. So the audio is captured, so let's go to the next step, which asks you to connect your guitar to your audio interface. I'll be taking a different approach here, and I give the credit to YouTuber Lamb Chopper for this great idea when he created a Bias Amp walkthrough to get the guitar tone from the Injustice for All album by Metallica. I'll be using the raw track that I recorded for this step. I think it's best this way because I can use my track not only for the tone matching step here, but also to tweak my guitar tone back and forth later. I need my own reference track to test different settings while I'm comparing my tone to the original Far Beyond Driven tone. So I turn on the little speaker here and play my track. So let's use my track for this step. In this case, monitoring can be turned off. You just need to play the track and click the Start Capture button. It takes a few seconds to capture a guitar, and this process is silent. The tone matching is done, so let's save it. You enter a preset name. The nice thing is you can also share your preset in the tone cloud of Bias Amp. I'll just call it my Far Beyond Driven amp. So now I'll make some adjustments. Prior to this video, of course, I tested various amps in different settings, so I'll show what needs to be adjusted. In the main amp controls, we just need to tweak these two knobs. Now this is very important. In the preamp section, I'll lower the distortion to 50%. This is because I'll be adding a distortion pedal later with Bias FX, so we don't want the amp to deliver the entire distortion or overdrive. Bias FX has some really nice distortion pedals to go along with your amp, so let's leave room for that. And that's it, our amp is done. Let's overwrite the file with the adjustments I made. Now I'm going to add the Bias FX plugin. I need to disable the Bias Amp 2 plugin because I'll be integrating the amp I just created within the Bias FX plugin. In Bias FX, we should use the single path and delete all pedals and effects that appear by default. Let's replace the default amp with the amp we just created. Now I'll add the effects. The blue comp is my favorite compressor. The default settings are good for the most part. I'll just lower the level a little bit. After some trial and error, the Distortion X pedal is the one that works best for our Far Beyond Driven tone. This pedal has some equalizer knobs, which are great for fine tuning, so let's adjust some of the settings here as well. I'm lowering the volume and the gain by a good amount because, as we saw earlier, we already have distortion coming from the amp. So if the pedal has too much overdrive, it's going to kill the tone. Also, my settings here are for recording purposes. So if you use the tone just to play along with the album or just to play your guitar without recording it, you should bump the volume here to level 3.5 and the gain to level 5. At least in Reaper and GarageBand on my Mac, even with the same input level, the guitar signal that is recorded ends up being much stronger than the signal when I'm just playing my guitar. So if you're not recording, if you're just playing for fun, you need more distortion in the pedal here. Finally, I'll just add a little bit of equalizer. These small adjustments and fine-tuning here and there make a big difference sometimes. In the global interface, I'll bump the noise gate a bit. Personally, I prefer to add the noise gate here instead of using an additional pedal. Our far beyond driven tone is now complete, but we're not done yet. We'll make it sound much more powerful with a nice multi-layer stereo recording. Let's save it. In Reaper, I click the Send All Keyboard Input to plug in so that I can type my preset name without triggering any command in the timeline. I'll just call my preset my Far Beyond Driven FX. You can also share your Bias FX preset in the Tone Cloud. At the end of this video, I'll give you the keywords for the presets I uploaded when I created this tutorial. So our tone is sounding good, but the original track sounds thicker and more powerful because Dimebag Darrell recorded multiple guitar layers on top of each other, which substantially enriches the guitar sound. So this is going to be our last step here. For the medley or the mixture of miscellaneous songs I recorded for the introduction of this video, I recorded 4 separate tracks on top of each other, 2 to the left and 2 to the right. To help us compare the sound of one track versus the sound of 4 tracks together, I will add our new Bias FX preset to a single track. I place this track above the 4 tracks that are grouped together, and I'm also adding the preset to these 4 tracks as well. So now let's compare the single track against the multi-layer version. The multi-track version will sound much better and much closer to the actual Far Beyond Driven tone. Finally, let's compare the 4 tracks among themselves. First, I will show the raw versions without the plugins and start turning things on progressively. Let's turn on the Bias FX plugins. In Reaper, for some reason, I get a richer sound when I add the plugin individually to each track as opposed to the main group track. So and that's it. I hope you guys enjoy my tutorial. You can follow the steps I discuss here to match the guitar tone of your favorite artist. If you open Bias Amp 2, you can find the amp I created in this tutorial with these keywords, DMO Far Beyond Driven. I uploaded my amp just before I created this video. Same thing with Bias FX. You can download my preset there as well. Just type these keywords, DMO Far Beyond Driven. With this preset, as I mentioned earlier, I bumped the volume and gain in the distortion pedal, as I believe most people downloading this preset will be using it to play along with the album instead of recording. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.